Hey everyone! Today we're talking about something really important, how we share a child's learning journey. We're going to move way beyond the traditional report card and explore a much more powerful way to communicate, one that's personal, meaningful, and really builds a true partnership between educators and families.
So let me just start by asking you, how do you do it right now? Is it a quick note here and there, a formal conference once a semester, a checklist of skills? Just take a second and think about what's working for you and maybe what feels like it's missing that little something extra.
For the longest time, the standard has been what you see on the left. We're talking checklists and report cards, and they're fine. They give you a score, right? A static snapshot in time. But what if? What if we shifted our focus to the right, to observation and portfolios? Instead of just a score, we get to tell a story, a living, breathing, meaningful story of that child's journey. And that shift? It's about so much more than just sharing information. It's really all about building trust. Just listen to what this educator, Peggy, says. When families see that you're not just grading, but truly seeing and getting to know their child, well, it changes everything. It stops being a report and starts being a real partnership. Okay, so how do we actually make this happen? The very first strategy is what we call the living portfolio. And no, this isn't just a scrapbook of cute drawings. It's an incredibly powerful tool for making learning totally visible. Let's look at a real example. This is a writing sample from a 4-year-old named Jane. Now, at first glance, what do we see? Some letter-like shapes, they're lined up. We might make a note about her fine motor skills, but is that the whole story? See, on its own, this piece of paper is just one little piece of the puzzle. We're kind of just guessing, aren't we? We're making assumptions. But what happens when we add the most important element of all? Boom, the teacher's observation. When we get that context, everything changes. All of a sudden, we see that Jane knows print has meaning, she's forming complex sentences, she even gets how stories work. That simple little drawing just burst into life. And that right there is the key takeaway. Context makes learning visible. Seriously, the biggest upgrade you could make to any assessment is simply adding the story behind it. The work sample plus the observation note that tells a rich story that the sample could never ever tell on its own. This is the heart and soul of the living portfolio. So, to put a more official definition on it, an assessment portfolio is a curated collection. It's not just a random bunch of pictures. It is intentional documentation. We're talking notes, photos, work samples that, when you put them all together, tell the story of a child's progress. So what exactly goes in there? Well, the most important part, hands down, are those factual, descriptive observation notes. They provide all that juicy context. Photos and work samples are awesome additions, for sure, but they really need that teacher's description to be truly powerful. And hey, what to leave out is just as important. Checklists, they're useful tools, right? For tracking if a child can hop on one foot, it's a simple yes or no. But they don't show how they did it. They don't capture the unique way a child solves a problem or the funny thing they said while they were doing it. So we keep checklists separate. This is a perfect example of how one portfolio item can reveal so much. So here, Ashley is sorting letters by color. That's a math skill, right? But she's also connecting it back to a story they just read. That's literacy. She's making this amazing creative leap. It's all there in one single observation. Or check this out from Lucas. He spent a full 15 minutes creating what he called a schedule of lower and uppercase letters. I mean, how great is that? This one piece documents his fine motor skills, his grip, his ability to focus, and his growing understanding that writing is an organized system. Okay, so you've collected all these wonderful portfolio pieces. Now what? Well, the second big step is turning that collection of individual notes into a single cohesive story. And we do that with a summary report. And the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, and this is key, you have to actually stop collecting for a bit and just review everything you've got. Then you connect what you've seen to your learning standards, you figure out where the child has shown real growth, and then you write the summary. It's about moving from just gathering facts to actually analyzing them. And that report really only needs 2 key things. First, you celebrate all the growth and accomplishments. Then you frame any challenges as goals, as what we will continue to work on. For instance, instead of saying a child struggles to share, you might write, "We will continue to work on taking turns with friends." See the difference? That language is so much more collaborative and positive. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole process, bringing it all together and partnering with families in the conference. This is where the magic really happens. This is where that trust is built. The mindset here is absolutely critical. This is not a lecture where you just read a report at a parent. No way. The goal is a two-way conversation. You have to remember families are the experts on their own children, and their insights are completely invaluable. So, for a really successful conference, here are a few quick tips. Try to be flexible with scheduling. Always start by sharing some positive accomplishments right from the portfolio. Then just listen. Really listen to their perspective. You'll be amazed what you learn. And finally, set future goals together. And as Kathy, another educator, points out, having this concrete evidence is a total game changer. It's one thing to say a child is developing social skills. It's a whole other thing to show a photo of them building something with a friend, along with a note about what they were talking about. It just makes it all so real for families. So when you combine that living portfolio, the summary report, and that collaborative conference, you create something truly special. It's the whole picture. It becomes this treasured record of a moment in a child's life. And honestly, this quote from Deanna just says it all. Families don't just file these things away. They laminate them. They scan them and email them to grandparents. They show them off at work. I mean, a report card never gets that kind of treatment, right? This becomes a real keepsake. So, what this all really comes down to is this. This process goes so far beyond just assessment. It's about taking the incredibly complex process of learning and making it visible. And when we do that, we are honoring the unique, amazing journey of every single child. And that just leaves us with one final thought. The checklists and the scores, they can tell you what a child can do. But a portfolio, it tells you who that child is. So, as you go forward, think about this. What story of learning are you going to share next?